Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode number 40 of Buds and Blue Jays. I'm your host, Jesse Burrell, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Riley McConnell. And making his return to our show is Isaac Bass. And gentlemen, today on our show, we're going to do something a little different. The Toronto Blue Jays have been absolutely falling apart as of late. So as long as the Blue Jays aren't making any drastic changes, we've got to do our part, and we've got to make some drastic changes for them. So today, we're getting rid of our thumbs up, thumbs down. We're just going to dive right into the meat of the episode here. We're just going to go into it. And boys, how are we feeling? It's a rough time for a Blue Jays fan right now. So take me through your emotions. Let's have our therapy session here.
Our therapy session. Well, you ask how we're feeling. I think the answer is pretty obvious how all Jays fans are feeling right now. And you should feel bad about what's going on
with this team right now,
field right now. And it stems from a lot of things. We're not getting our pitchers have been absolutely terrible. And our offense has been almost non-existent at points when we need them the most. That's my take on it. And it's a cold time, man. It feels like we're alone out there, and we're only sinking farther back in the division in the wild card races. And yeah, it's bad, dude. It's probably worse than it looks, to be honest with you. I think that changes need to happen. And I certainly know your answer, Jesse. You don't feel good about it. Bassy doesn't feel good about it. And I don't even know if the guy likes baseball. Like, if you're Canadian, you hate it for the Blue Jays.
Just building off of that, the reason I'm in the closet right now recording is because Vladimir Guerrero is in the closet about being an elite level player this year. And I want to talk about that because you guys haven't talked about that all season. And I know we all love Vladdy and we all love the idea of what Vladdy could be. But up to this point, this year is going to be the movie bullshit. And like, we've talked about Bo Bichette, like, struggling. We've talked about Hernandez struggling, everyone except for Vlad. But he is like, his WAR is 2.2. Like, his OPS is, I think, 32nd in the league. Like, his batting average is 60th in the league. His home runs is tied for 13th in the league. And he's supposed to be the best player. Jesse's always said he's supposed to be the best player in the major leagues. So I think that's a number one problem. And you saw he's had so many opportunities coming up to the plate where he could have been that guy to win a game. And especially recently, he just has not been there. And that's what's most frustrating to me, is that the elite players who are supposed to be elite aren't. And the role players are doing their part as well as they can be, but they're not the ones who are supposed to make this team a division winner.
Yeah, that's my emotions. Yeah, we talked at the start of this season how this offense is only going to go as far as Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is going to take them now. And as we've seen, those numbers you've cited are correct, but they don't feel so good. Vladdy's main problem this year too he's been hitting the ball on the ground too much. He's still been getting the exit velocity numbers, but that launch angle isn't there. So his hard hit balls are now ground balls. And at the major league level, ground balls are outs almost all the time. I think at this point last year, Vladdy had 24, 25, 26. He was in that range of home runs. This year, I think he's 18, right? That's kind of down below than what he had in the past. So we really need Vladdy to pick things up. Now, there was talk about how he was dealing with a wrist injury, and maybe that has something to do. Maybe he just can't get his bat speed just quick enough because the wrist is bothering him or something. But yeah, this sucks, honestly. And you talked about this is the movie that we're going to see from Vlad Guerrero Jr. I wouldn't call this a blockbuster star hit. I'd say this is almost a little more like a horror movie.
This is the fourth Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, well,
this is once Johnny Depp left. No one gave a shit. That's what this year's movie is from Vladdy.
I was thinking more of like the horror movie where it starts out great. You know, the family's all nice. They live in the nice house, but then trouble starts to arise and all of a sudden shit goes downhill. I think we're at the part now where shit goes downhill and we don't know how the good guys are going to be able to escape this. That's what type of movie Vladdy's putting up this year.
We're getting haunted by poltergeist right now, guys. Like, if it's that kind of movie, we're at the scariest part of the movie, the climax, right before everything, like nothing looks good, but things are going to get good. If this is a 5-star movie, if this is a 94 on Rotten Tomatoes or whatever they rate it, like, something's going to have to drastically change. And until it does, we're in the nightmare part of this movie right now.
Well, buckle in, grab your popcorn, because the movie is not over yet and there's more drama to come. Game one of this series, let's get into it. The Mariners beat the Jays 8-3. Anthony Banda had a spot start because Yusei Kikuchi was not able to go. Casey Lawrence came in after him. He sucked as well. Max Castillo did pitch 3 good innings in relief, and this was the game where Lourdes Gurriel Jr. gave up the home run off of his glove on the warning track that went over the fence. So bad omen there. Game 2, the Jays were in a battle, but they lost this one 5-2 in 11 innings. Sergio Romo gave up a walk-off 3-run home run to Eugenio Suarez. The Jays couldn't score with a runner on second base. The ghost runner, he couldn't score twice. Like, that's not going to win you any ball games here. Jays went 2 for 20 with runners in scoring position. And I hate to mention our old friend Ryan Barucki sure looked damn good closing that game out against us. So that stung a little bit. Game 3, the Jays lost that one 2-1. We had a hell of a pitcher's duel between Robbie Ray and Alek Manoah. Jays got a solo home run from George Springer, but when Seattle got a home run, it just came with a runner on, and that was the difference in that game. So they won 2-1. And game 4, Jays had a lead into the 8th inning, but our old reliable friend Adam Simber gave up a home run to Carlos Santana. And this was the game 2 where the Jays had a double play to get out of a jam, but the ball went through Vladdy's glove at first base. So guys, when it rains, it pours, and the Jays get swept on the West Coast, where we're supposed to have the home field advantage, by the Seattle Mariners. And does not feel great. The Jays are now 45-42. We're a below 500 team since the month of April. We're still in a playoff spot, but barely. We're now tied with Seattle, who's won 8 in a row after we've lost 9 of our last 10. We're 2.5 games up on both Baltimore and Cleveland, and 2 games above them and 2.5 above the White Sox. So Fangraph still gives the Jays a 78% chance of making the playoffs, which is higher than both Tampa Bay and Boston. But boys, it sure does not feel like that's the case.
No, and you said it right, man. It rains, it pours, and it was almost comical when that ball was thrown through Vladdy's glove. I mean, he's got to switch from Wilson after that. I think he has an A2000 or whatever it is on first. Like, he's got to go to a Mizuno or something, because that just can't happen. I mean, that's twice this year, man, and it couldn't have happened at a worse time. The bad things in this series on the West Coast run couldn't happened at worse times.
Yeah.
Something to reflect on, though, Jesse, is what you said too. He comes in, shuts us down, man. I mean, what a kick in the nuts that is, for God's sakes. Like, we DFA'd him, and here he is in Seattle, and he looked good. We should never have let him go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Speaking of, I'm going to set you up for this one, Jesse, because I know you wanted to talk about this. But speaking of DFAs and us randomly picking up everyone's in the league, especially the worst teams, starting Anthony Badda over Maximo Castillo, and I know you wanted to talk about this, as we can branch into Charlie Montoyo, and even Hatch over Castillo. Like, those are 2 games that have been lost that we would still be in a wild card position if it wasn't for those decisions. So Jesse, I want you to branch it, because I know you were pissed about that.
I really think that Charlie Montoyo screwed up the whole Maximo Castillo situation here. So let's flash you back a little bit. 2 weeks ago, Kevin Gausman takes the line drive off the ankle. He's hurt. We're not sure he's going to make his next start, right? They had Maximo Castillo is going to be one of the guys for the doubleheader there. They chose Thomas Hatch instead. Maybe it's just because he's been in the big leagues before. I don't know what the logic behind that was, but Castillo looked the best. He should have been in there. Thomas Hatch gets lit up, destroyed, glosses the game. We're moving on to the next game. Yusei Kikuchi struggles. It's come to the point where we talked last episode, we can't have Kikuchi in this rotation anymore. So they got to take him out. But they're like, we accidentally sent down Castillo because we needed Trent Thornton or Casey Lawrence or someone on this roster. So we couldn't bring Castillo back up until we sent someone on the IL. So if you knew that you were going to put Yusei Kikuchi on the IL before this start, why didn't you do it before the game so you could get Maximo Castillo up there, make the start for that game? It seems like it was poorly mismanaged, but whatever. They thought, it's fine. It's going to keep going. We'll just have him pitch on Sunday if Kevin Gausman can't go. Well, Sunday rolls around. Kevin Gausman can't go, but because they didn't have Maximo Castillo start the Thursday game, they had him pitch 3 innings in relief on Friday, which meant he couldn't really go deep into this start either on the game on Sunday where he did start. And that just seems like it's poorly mismanaged from Charlie Montoyo. I don't know if it's him or if it's the front office or something doing something like that, but that left a sour taste in my mouth. And Maximo Castillo, with the way this pitching staff has been so far, with the struggles the bullpen has had and with the struggles Barrios and Kikuchi and stuff has had, I will say, and I will make the claim that Maximo Castillo might be the most important person in the Blue Jays organization right now, because the Blue Jays really need a surprise guy, a strong piece, a guy who can come up and even just give them league average innings. And if Maximo Castillo can do that, it might be, I don't want to be too dramatic, but almost a savior to the Blue Jays season right now, if he can come up and he can pitch this well. And I think it's a lot on the young kid's shoulders to do this, but it's kind of how I feel about Castillo right now.
Well, Riley, I just want to say.
No, yeah, I'll take it, man. I was gonna give it to you, but that's
all right. Go for it, man.
I think that's saying a lot. Like, if you were to tell me at the start of the year that this is the potential role that Castillo was going to play, I would have said you're nuts. That's a lot. Those are huge shoes to fill, man. And honestly, Jesse, yeah, he would be considered a savior. It would be miraculous if he single-handedly could put together just good innings, give us good quality starts, give us good outings, and turn us into even a second place wildcard team at this point, really. I mean, you're still asking a lot of this young guy who's just came up to the bigs. Like, it's a push, it's a stretch, man. But if he can do it, yeah, I'll give him the rank of savior. But I still think there is other solutions. Yeah, he got screwed for getting up when the whole, you say on the 15-day, and whoever it was, Lawrence, I think, was the guy who was in replace of Castillo and Kikuchi, but whatever. Yeah, it was a mismanaged thing, and Castillo's going to be up. That's the thing. He's going to be in the rotation. He's going to pitch, and surely he can't be another bonehead pitcher that gives up 7 earned runs in 3 innings, Jesse. You just, is that even possible for us to have another guy like that?
It's always possible, man.
I mean, I don't know if you guys looked at his stats when he was in AAA this year, but like, he has a sub-1 ERA in 27 innings pitched. Like, this guy is, and he's still young. Like, there's always every year there's one guy who comes out of nowhere. Like last year it was kind of Kirk a little bit, and there's always one guy, and we need him to be that one guy that comes out of nowhere. And like just said, just even plays league average to take over that 5th spot, because Stripling has shown that he can be number 4. And then if there's a lot of ifs, if Barrios pitches better, and if Gosman is healthy, and if, but I mean, that's why I agree. Something needs to change in terms of a trade.
You know what else might need to change with this team? There's a lot of talk around Blue Jays Twitter right now. Is it time to let Charlie Montoyo go? Now, I'm going to ask you guys both your thoughts about this, but there are a lot of Blue Jays fans saying, you know what? It's not necessarily Charlie's fault, but this team is on such a big slide. Like, usually sometimes firing the manager is a token way to go. We saw this in Philadelphia earlier this year. They fired their manager and they immediately went on a 9-game win streak. It happened in Anaheim for the Angels too. They went on a big win streak after they let Joe Madden go, but they've kind of fallen back into their losing ways now. So what do we think, guys? I can go through what I think here too, but I'll let you guys take it away first. Is this the time to fire Charlie Montoyo, or should we keep him going?
All yours, buddy.
Yeah, I think it's a toss-up, man. Let's go back and let's view our Twitter. If you follow Buds and Jays, you can see us. We favorite, retweet a lot of the stuff. I mean, it was all over today. Our Twitter, like, that's all I read on the Buds Jays account was people, not bashing Montoyo, but it's certainly not. You can't say it's his fault. I mean, yes, there are certain aspects of the game that he can manage better. But I do like the idea that it could switch things up. It could shift morale, and hopefully a positive way if it goes down. If it doesn't, then like something drastic almost has to change. And the easiest thing to do would be to pull the pin on Charlie. It would be the easiest thing. He's the scapegoat in this situation. And that would maybe wake them up. I don't know who would step in, whether that would be our hitting coach or pitching coach or a base coach, who knows, like the intern manager. However they decide to do it. I saw a thing on Twitter. It said, well, what's Cito Gaston up to? Yeah, if this was the 90s, I'd love nothing more than that. But let's be realistic. Charlie's been with these guys. He knows how to manage these guys. I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but I would really hate to see it, because he's a familiar with this team. It's not like this is a brand new turnover team. It's not like our rebuild is based around our core guys. We have our core guys, and Charlie worked with them when they were rookies or sophomores, or guys even getting their cup of coffee that are up now. I'm on the fence with it. I would, if they fire him and it makes things better, then it's a good move. But I'm not pulling the pin, and I'm pretty neutral on this thing, but I'll tell you what, Jesse, I would really hate to see it happen, because he's put a lot of time and effort into these players, and it would suck, man.
Well, no, so I actually did a little bit of research before because I knew you were going to ask this question, because I've looked at Jay's Twitter and I've seen everyone freaking out over Montoyo as well. And there was one quote that I liked, and you just kind of said it, Riley, but Todd Helton said when Hurdle got fired, he said he was the scapegoat, but he didn't give up the big hit while pitching, and he did not strike out with men on base. So you can give people a spark, but like what a couple articles I read were saying is that if you have an already good team who has had success in the past, that firing the manager midseason might actually be a good idea, and that there has been a lot of success with that team, with changing from whether it be like a more laid back guy to a more like in your face guy or vice versa. But if you're a bad team changing managers, you're still going to be bad. So, but the history is on the side a little bit that if you fire a manager midseason when you have a good team that has a massive potential, that it can actually be a benefit to the team going forward. So that's kind of where I stand. Is I'm not going to be upset necessarily either way. I think the trade needs to be the priority, but if it does happen, I do have faith that this team can turn it around.
I will say there have been 5 teams in Major League history who have fired a manager midseason and still made the playoffs, and one of them was the Toronto Blue Jays in 1989 when Manny Acta was let go. So there is some precedent that this happens in the organization. And my thoughts on Charlie, it's the same thing. He's not the one out there giving up these bombs. It's not his fault he has to pitch Trent Thornton in high leverage, right? He's not the one who's swinging and missing and going down 0-2 every single plate, but my gripe here with Charlie Montoyo is that he hasn't done enough to try to change things. Like, he hasn't tried to change the batting order at least a little bit, just to get people out of their routines a little bit. And I mentioned he's messed up the Maximo Castillo situation. And isn't the job of a manager to really manage the personalities in his clubhouse, but also to try to get the best out of their players? We talked about Vlad, we've talked about Bo, we've talked about Springer. Like, this is not the best we can see out of these players. Even Gurriel and Teoscar Hernandez have put up better stuff. And if you say that that is the manager's job to do that, you could safely say that Charlie Montoyo has not done that. And Montoyo's reputation was that he was always very good with the young guys, building a young team, getting them together. But I don't know if he's that guy or that manager you need that can help get this team to win. And it would suck, like you said, Riley, for Charlie Montoyo to put in all this work to build this core and not get the reward for it. But there could be that thought that maybe this is what happens. I will say, though,
I do want to pull a little quote here. It's my favorite, one of my favorite Simpsons episodes, big baseball episode. Lisa's the manager, tells her brother Bart, managers manage and players play. And then, of course, Ralph Wiggum says, do alligators alligate? But if you think about the quote, it's just as black and white as that. Montoyo's not playing and the players aren't managing, and both are below expectations right now. From what you said, Bassy, to Vladdy only having 18, 19 home runs, to not being that ceiling player he is, and to Montoyo not doing his job really to try and shake things up. I mean, the recipe on our order looks delicious. I mean, you cook that up and you'd think you can get 95 wins, but now I think we need to reassess the recipe here, change up the order a little bit, something. We need a little bit of shake up, Jesse, whether that's management movement or player movement. Something's going to happen. It's just evident, man. We have to, or else we're going to sink in this division.
Right. Well, I will say, guys, with moves needing to be made, and the draft is about 10 days away. So once the draft is over, you got to think it's full systems go for making trades and upgrading this team and try to go through. I'm going to go through 4 groups of players here, and you tell me, do you think the Jays should trade any players out of these 4 groups? And I think we start with our catchers. And Riley, you touched on last week how you were on board. Kirk's our catcher of the future. If we need to trade Gabriel Moreno to get someone, we should do it. So out of our 3 catchers, guys, Alejandro Kirk, Danny Jansen, Gabriel Moreno, are you willing to move one of these players if it helps make the team better?
Yes, that's my answer. Absolutely. Yeah. Preferably probably Jansen, although I'm hoping with Jansen coming back that his pitch selection as well as his defense can maybe make a change to add a little bit extra to those pitchers that maybe take out a run a game kind of thing. So that's my hope. So that's good to have players like that. Gabriel Moreno, I'm a little on the fence about. I would love to see what you guys talked about last episode. Go back to AAA and put him in the outfield and be like, learn this and you'll be with the big club as soon as possible. But other than that, I would be okay with the trade for just don't trade Kirk. That's my non-negotiable. I love that guy.
Yeah, like I'm still on board with you. Got to shoot the gun on Moreno. I don't think his value is going to be higher. I think the return for Gabby Moreno is going to be huge, and with that, a starting pitcher is attached to it. Like I think with Kirk's age, and he is the catcher of the future. He's the starting all-star American League catcher this year. I think it doesn't get better than that mid-season for him, and I don't think he's going to slow down. I think he's going to improve throughout this season, throughout his career, and Gabriel Moreno is still unproven, but still holds a significant value in a trade. I think that is the right move, man. Like I said, I know there are people who agree with me. I know there's people who disagree with me on that, but hey, when push comes to shove, and we're in a push-shove, time frame right now, I mean, we got to make a move, dude.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of with you. This one makes sense because the Blue Jays catchers is their strongest point of depth, and you always want to deal from a position of strength to address a weakness. So that's why a lot of these guys have been mentioned here. I don't know. I love prospects, but I'm kind of leaning towards on board. Like, we need to fix this team, and as much as it would suck to see Moreno go, I think we might have to do it. How about this next group of people? This is our young, high upside pitching prospect group. Ricky Tiedemann, Yasver Zuleta, or Nick Frasso. Do you think we trade any of these guys to help our team?
Any of them, if it helps our team. You know what, though? I think you're going to get less return with those guys than you would Moreno. However, I think you even get a younger pitcher, but I think like you trade those guys straight up for another starter, you're going to get a guy who hits free agency in the offseason. I think if you trade a 1-for-1 in this, you almost get a rented pitcher for a year. So you really got to make it worthwhile, man. Unless you're talking about a package, I'm talking a 1-for-1 right now. Talking trading Tiedemann, our young, single A guy who
Nick Frasso,
probably going to be a major league starter at some point, if not, and Frasso as well. We got moves to make, but I think that for those guys, it would be a pitcher it's older, gonna hit free agency, so it would be a year that's got to work out this year.
Okay.
For me, Tiedemann is off the table because let's say he's ready in 2 years. You have a Barrios, Gossman, Manoah, Tiedemann on a rookie contract, and then whoever else. And with all the contracts coming up, you're going to have issues with money. So having those young guys that can step into a valuable role, he's going to be really valuable. One guy I would like to just throw around is Noah Syndergaard is on a 1-year contract with the Angels. They're not making the playoffs. It'd be nice to have him back. We lost him too soon. I love Thor. So if one of those other guys other than Tiedemann and maybe another like smaller time player could go towards getting the guy like that, that could really shore up our starting pitcher.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't want to trade Tiedemann. Remember, he's 19 years old. He's moving up to high A ball. He's dynamite wherever he's been. He could be up here at the age of 21, 22. He could be the next wave of Blue Jays prospects coming in here. Syndergaard's interesting. He's a different pitcher now than he was when he was with the Mets. He's been throwing less. He's been trying to do some more contact, but guy can still get outs here and there, and that's kind of what the Blue Jays need.
Is he better than Thomas Hatch? Or
yes, he is, exactly. That's why you go out there and you try to our next group, and this is the group of players I really think the Blue Jays should deal from. That's Orelvis Martinez, Jordan Groshans, and Samad Taylor. Like, that group of prospect I think are almost guaranteed to be gone. Like, I'm not sold on Orelvis Martinez. I think he's way too streaky, and I don't think those streaky guys usually have what it makes. They might be a good bench guy or something, and that's what Orelvis Martinez has been. Yes, he's young at Double-A. He's only 21 years old, but I think this is the group you send out the door. If they hit, that's great, but I don't think we're going to miss them too much in order to help this team. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I like not dealing all of them. I like 2 out of 3. I would like to keep one of the left side infielders for the future if we can, because I think that's important. I think that's in our depth chart, kind of the next big position to fill. Obviously we have Matt Chapman, but as much as I'd love to see him play till he's 40 in Toronto, I don't know if that's going to happen. Hey, I love he's here. I love that he's here for now, but I think third base is a position that's got to be filled, and if we can get it in our organization with Groshans or Martinez, I think that's great. I say deal 2 out of 3 of them for sure, man. If we could get a good return, and for me, it's just talking about pitchers in return right now, getting those starters. Yeah, let's go shop around Los Angeles, see if we can pick up a Syndergaard, or go down to Oakland, see if we can shop for a Blackburn or a Montes, something like that, man. We got to make waves, dude, and these guys aren't playing in our biggest, highest level right now. So this isn't Bison and Buds. This is Buds and Blue Jays. I mean, we're talking about our major league club, man. This is all I care about. And I would say if we can do 2 out of the 3 and, hopefully hold on to 1 for the future.
And really quick, just on these last 2 guys here, these guys are both free agents at the start of next offseason. Do we think about trading Teoscar Hernandez or Lourdes Gurriel Jr.? Like, is that on the table for you guys, or do you think that's just a no?
No.
That's if we get a bigger return in place. I think that Teoscar is going to play his contract out anyways, and I'm a big Lourdes guy. Yes, he's about as hot and cold as anything, the equator and the North and South Pole all at once, but he'd be a guy I love to hold on to. He's been in our organization forever. I have sentimental value attached to guys like that, but hey, man, we got to perform like a winning ball team, and we got to get winning players to do that. And if Lourdes and Teo aren't winners, then yeah, get them out. Right now, I think Lourdes is be more on the chopping block than Teoscar. I think Teoscar's been just fine for us. Yes, he was hurt a little bit this year, and I think that's hindered him.
Yeah, I'll be super quick with this. Yeah. I think that Lourdes and Teoscar, we need outfielders right now. There's no way that we can start Zimmer and Tapia. Maybe Spencer Horwitz comes up and is amazing, but you can't trade. That is a very low. We don't have much depth at that position. So anyways, for this year, also Gurriel has like a 40-point higher batting average than Vladimir Guerrero Jr. So let's keep him on the team right now and put him batting third and give Vladdy a little bit of a break later in the lineup until he gets his shit together.
Yeah, they really should change that batting order, but we'll get to that maybe another time. Some news and notes here. Alek Manoah and George Springer were both named to the All-Star team to go along with Vlad Guerrero Jr. and Alejandro Kirk. It's the first appearance for Kirk and Manoah, the second for Vlad, and the fourth for George Springer. Bo Bichette, Jordan Romano, Kevin Gosman all have chances getting in, but honestly, guys, I don't know about you. I don't really care about All-Star voting nearly as much as I did when I was younger. I think just give them the week of rest. God, they could say that they need it so bad, right? So any thoughts on these guys making the All-Star team? I mean, good for them, right? But
Jesse, if the All-Star games mean nothing. At one point, it meant home field advantage. I could honestly care less. I'm not a gimmicky guy. I don't do that stuff. I think the home run derby is cool, as long as it doesn't screw your swing up. And honestly, I don't care. Last year it was cool because they did a home run derby in Colorado. Yeah. And I think that there was a 787-foot home run or something like that, like they were just killing them out of the park. So that was cool. Honestly, Jesse, I mean, we'll promote it for this channel. We can talk about it's good. Go support your Blue Jays. But for guys like me, where the game means nothing and players could get hurt potentially, it means nothing.
Yeah, nothing to me. The only thing is, I hope. Sorry, I'm just harping on Vladdy so much. I hope that he learns how to hit Tampa Bay outfield pitchers by having those softies come in and maybe hit some home runs in the home run derby so that he can translate that to the ninth inning against Tampa. But other than that, I don't really care too much.
Hey, I watched Phillips pitch on Canada Day, and he was just lights out.
Which should never be the case, honestly.
He's better than Thomas Hatch.
No.
Yeah. Oh man.
No. Wow. Geez, don't say that.
Guys, Ricky Tiedemann and Yasser Zuleta will represent the Blue Jays at the Futures game. So we've talked about Tiedemann a lot. Yasser Zuleta, who's kind of more of a relief pitcher prospect, but 37 innings pitched, 3.86 ERA, 55 strikeouts, a 1.2 WHIP. Just a name to keep an eye on. And Denzel Clark is an outfielder in the Oakland Athletics system who is the only Canadian that'll be at the future game. So just names, store those in the memory bank. We'll probably talk about them as they go on. Baseball America has updated their top 100 prospects list. Gabriel Moreno is up to number 3 in all of baseball. And Ricky Tiedemann, who's been soaring up these lists using the 60s last time, is now up to number 35 on all of baseball. And notably, Orelvis Martinez and Jordan Groshans have been moved off the top 100 prospect list. So Ricky Tiedemann safely number 2 prospect in the Blue Jays system, which is good. Any quick thoughts on that before we move on to preview the Phillies series?
Yeah. What would you give for a number 3 prospect in all of baseball, Jesse? I'm just saying, hey, like to have that label attached to you is pretty big, dude. Like there's a lot of GMs that would just be salivating over something like that. If you don't have an Adley Rutschman right now, then you're thinking about it at least.
It's true. Yeah. Well, with that being said, the Jays had a well-needed off day today. We're going to return home. We have a quick 2-game series against the Philadelphia Phillies. Now, it was just announced as of about 15 minutes ago that the Phillies will be without JT Realmuto, Aaron Nola, Alec Boehm, and Kyle Gibson, as they were all placed on the restricted list. And we can assume that's because they are not vaccinated against COVID-19 and can't get through the border. So game 1 starting pitchers, as it sounds, it'll be Kevin Gausman, maybe. I don't know, against to be determined. Even Philly doesn't know who they're starting in that game. And game 2 is going to be Jose Barrios against Zach Wheeler, who should also be an all-star, who's been really good this year too. So boys, how are we feeling about the series against the Phillies?
Feeling better. I think that enough is going to happen in the next 24 hours. I really do, for this to shape up. We're airing this around it's Monday at about 4:45. I think I bet you in 24 hours things will have changed by now, and hopefully the motive is a plus motive.
God, I hope so.
I think the series will go well. Man. I honestly do. We were really dragging it on with the Seattle one last time. I knew we didn't feel good about it going in. This Philly series, I feel a lot better about, especially without Boehm, who's going to be one hell of a corner infielder throughout his career, and JT Realmuto, who might be like a top 2 catcher over the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I think we win both. That's just, I got to have faith. We can safely say that our division, we're not winning the division. So now let's just focus on the wild card, which we're still right in the play of. We've had finally a day off since the unfortunate circumstances with the first base coach, and going out west where the time changed. Like, they were playing at 10 p.m. for them 4 straight nights. So we had a day off, and then people can look forward to having a week off. So I think that we go in with a little bit of a refresher and we win both games and start off. Yeah.
God, you guys are way too optimistic. I'm maybe it's the doom and gloom that I have it here. If Gausman starts game 1 and he's healthy, maybe we win that one. But I think Zach Wheeler is way too good. This offense has been way too poor, and Jose Barrios has to be elite to win that game. I don't know. I think we win 1, but even then, I'd probably put it more likely we lose both than win 2. I'm glad you guys have faith, though. Hopefully, I'm wrong. And let's see what.
You're a big time negative Nelly, aren't you?
Something by that. That'll do it for our episode here today, guys. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Let's hope we need some good juju here, boys. Put your messages down in the chat below, or if you have something to say, just your good vibes, your good spirits, your omens you want to put in the world, because the Blue Jays sure as hell need it right now. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week. Make sure you like and subscribe, leave those 5-star ratings and all that fun stuff you can. Boys, we got about a minute left to go here. Anything to add before we get out of here?
The floor is yours, my friend.
Yeah, Isaac, after hours, put on that leopard print dress behind you. You look good.
All right. It is a shirt, but I can wear it as a dress if you want.
Whatever. It looks great. It looks great, but go back in that closet as you.
I'll wear it next episode. How about that?
Let's keep the mood. Let's keep the mood light, boys. It's still got a long hill to climb here, and we're just crawling into the All-Star break.
All right. Well, have a good night, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you later in this week to recap the Phillies series.
Thanks, guys.